All right, Sam Bankman-Fried is set to appear in a Manhattan federal court later today to face charges that include cheating investors out of billions of dollars, as well as wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Yahoo Finance's David Hollerith has been following the story. He's with us here in the studio because he is here for this trial. So, Dave, what should we expect from the arraignment hearing is set to happen this afternoon, right?
That's right. So the initial arraignment happened within 24 hours of his extradition. And so today is the formal case where they read him his charges, and after which he will either plead guilty or not guilty. And it's very likely, based on what we've heard from his spokesperson as well as other people and other reports, is that he will likely plead not guilty at this stage. That being said, there's also going to be sort of a conference that's going to be kind of a schedules in motion, so they'll talk through. But one thing I'll be looking for is body language, posture, how he's acting. And so that's probably going to give us some insight into how he's going to take the case further, what their strategy is going to be. Obviously, he's looking at 8 counts of fraud from the Justice Department. So it's a tall order, and a lot of legal sources say that really it's going to come down to how he wants to, like what he's willing to sacrifice in negotiations.
Right.
So,
what is the continued tenor around the crypto sphere, if you will, as this continues to move forward and the proceedings really commence here?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who works in the industry wants to push it aside as a case of fraud, obviously, fraud. But I think that in general, it doesn't affect the market as much. It's the same thing with the bankruptcy hearings in terms of actual prices, but obviously from a sentiment standpoint and how people are thinking about the asset class in general, it's not a great look.
What does this mean, how this plays out for the direction of Bitcoin? We were talking about last week, Bitcoin has really gone nowhere since the middle of June. I would imagine in large part because of this case.
Yeah, I think there's also this issue with liquidity, or not issue with liquidity. The Bitcoin and Ether are the 2 largest cryptocurrencies, so they have more liquidity. And so one thing that has been pointed out more recently is that like these smaller tokens have no liquidity, so they are a lot more volatile. And so some people are sort of arguing or proposing that Bitcoin is trading, it's fluctuating less outside of these huge sell-offs that we've seen, which are usually these companies that are in trouble because it has so much liquidity. It's typically the easiest thing to buy and sell, if that makes sense.
Is the thinking also, I'm curious here, as we head into the year, as we know that some of the prominent names in crypto were invested with Sam Bankman-Fried and therefore have lost money, have they liquidated their positions in Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example? I mean, I assume we don't know entirely, but you have to wonder if that's already happened or if that's still something that could happen at some point.
Yeah, so, the events we saw over the summer were much larger selling events for the major cryptocurrencies. FTX you could sort of think of it as a third of that. And so a lot of people are think that, potentially the SBF situation is behind us. But obviously there's this constant issue with contagion and whether or not this is affecting other companies like Genesis Lending, which is paused withdrawals, and maybe their parent group DCG. That's the big thing people are watching in terms of a major sell-off. So,
Yahoo Finance's own David Hollerith. Dave, we know that you're going to be tracking this federal court appearance very closely and keeping us up to date with the latest. Thanks so much, David. Appreciate it.